Hi, I'm Theresa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing my June wrap up, my Pride Month wrap up, and this might be my best reading month of the year so far, both in terms of quality and quantity. So I've read 13 books, which was not quite the 18 I put in my TBR, but we knew that wasn't going to happen, and I'm still very much looking forward to many of the books that I had said I would read but didn't. But here we are. I'm very proud of what I've read, very happy with it all. There were so many 5-star reads and new favourites. It's just been such a good reading month. And because obviously I have quite a few books to talk about, I'm just going to get right into it. So first up is Where We Go From Here by Lucas Roja, which is translated from Portuguese to English by Larissa Helena. So this is set in Brazil and as such was originally written in Portuguese, as I've mentioned. And this follows three young men whose lives all become intertwined in the face of HIV. And so we follow one perspective who has just been diagnosed, one who's just tested negative, and one who's been living with the disease for years. And we really just explore how this diagnosis affects your life, and especially what this is like in Brazil, which is obviously a very different political climate and everything than you'd see in the US or the UK, where most stories are set. And I really loved getting this insight into this kind of different perspective and different way of life compared to the UK and the US, and the views on queer people are different. There's so much concern for the political situation, how this will affect healthcare and access to medication and all of that, which thankfully it's not something I have to worry about. And I just really appreciated that. I'd say it was, poignant, and I love that word. But, this exploration of what it means to be queer and HIV positive in modern day Brazil. I wasn't completely sold on this book. This is one I have been looking forward to for a while. However, as important as the story is, I felt like I didn't connect to it at all. I couldn't really differentiate between our three perspectives in terms of the writing. There's nothing that really gripped me about it, although the book itself was interesting. It wasn't just, I don't know, quite as absorbing. So this was a 3-star read for me. Still very good. I would recommend if this is something that interests you. However, it's not a new favourite or one I think will really stick with me. Next up, however, was a 5-star read, and that is 1500 Miles from the Sun by Johnny Garcia. This is a new favourite of mine. I am entirely in love with it. It's just so good. So this is a YA contemporary that's just recently released, and we follow a main character called Julian who is living in Corpus Christi, Texas, part of a big Mexican American community. And he is gay, and he's not come out as gay anywhere because he knows that in his community there's a lot of homophobia and machismo, these ideas of what a man should be, hyper masculinity, and he just knows that it's not a good place to come out in. However, he gets very drunk and comes out on Twitter. And so we kind of follow him dealing with the fallout of this, as well as a Twitter crush sliding into his DMs and the beginning of this lovely long distance pining relationship. And I did not expect to love this book as much as I did. I went into it with very high hopes. It's one of my most anticipated releases, but I still was like, I'm not quite sure I'm sold on this idea of a long distance relationship. But rest assured, I was in love with the relationship. There's just such chemistry between the two of them. They worked so well together, even through this kind of social media relationship until they meet in person. And it's just so good, and you get so much joy in it as well from Jules's friends and this community and his relationship with Matt, our love interest, and it's so lovely. But you also balance this out very well with the realities of Jules's situation and the homophobia that's in his community and all of his worries over college and the future. And it is not always a light and happy read. There are content warnings at the beginning for things like homophobia and abuse, so make sure you're in a good headspace if you're picking it up, but it is so damn good. These topics are handled so sensitively, and they're never sensationalized or over dramatized for effect. They are crushingly honest and truthful representations, and I just I really loved this book. I really recommend it. Another thing I just adored was that with Jules and his family and his friends and this all community all being Mexican American Chicane, the book is also very Chicane, and you have this lovely blend of Spanish and English in the kind of prose and dialogue, and it's done so cleverly so that the English speaking reader will never struggle with the Spanish. You can infer it from the context. Of course, I speak Spanish, so I'm not like the perfect person to say that, but I don't speak a lot of the slang that they use just because A, I've not been taught slang, B, it's specific to Mexican communities, and I've been taught Spain Spanish. And within this as well, you've also got all like the food, and I'm not normally that fussed about food descriptions in books, but here, God, they were so good. It's probably the one of the only books where I've ever been like, oh damn, I want to eat that after they've talked about food. I just recommend this book so entirely. It's so good. Next up, to carry on the 5-star train, we have got Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Emire. So this is a new YA thriller that's just released, and it has been getting a lot of hype, and it is so well deserved. It is just incredible. It is pitched as Gossip Girl meets Get Out, and I always say that in my videos even though I don't know what it means because I've not watched either of them, but hopefully that means something to you. And this follows a dual perspective of two queer black leads who both attend this very prestigious, very white elite school, and they both become victims of this like anonymous texter called Aces who is exposing some secrets and rumors about them. And I don't want to go too in detail in this plot because obviously it's a thriller and you are best to go in not really fully knowing what to expect, but I will say that this book deals very heavily with racism, particularly institutionalized racism and like white supremacy. You got homophobia. There, it's like pretty heavy in terms of content, but it is so very good. It's so expertly written to have this lasting, palpable tension that really has you on the edge of your seat throughout the whole book. I could not put it down until I had to go to work, and I was not impressed, but I stayed up late afterwards to finish it, and you know what, worth it. It is just so good, so intense and gripping, and and I really enjoyed reading from both of our perspectives. I actually preferred Devon, our male perspective, which I wasn't anticipating because Giamacca, our female perspective, was like my favorite, you know, popular mean girl, but you give her depth. That's like one of my favorite tropes to read, but I actually really like Devon, and we really deal with some of the realities of being black and poor and living in a rough area and being gay, and how this can be really dangerous for him. And I just really enjoyed reading his story and Chimaka's story and the whole book, and I just really loved it so much. It deserves all of the amazing hype and love it's been getting. I'm just so happy it exists. It's so damn good. Please read it. Next up, I read Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. So this is the sequel to King of Scars, the kind of third series within the Grishaverse, and I'm not obviously going to go into too much detail with this because it is a sequel and I can't really tell you the plot. But this follows 3 characters who I adore from previous books within the Grishaverse, and I really just loved getting to finish off this whole massive overarching narrative and story, as well as so many little bits within these books specifically. And I think that this is a good ending, though I do kind of wonder if there's going to be a third Six of Crows. I know that's been teased and everything, but I'm intrigued. That's definitely left open-ended enough that I can see there being room for more books in this world if Leigh wants to, but I'm also very happy with this being the final book. I think that so much of the battles and the magic was written so well, and the political scheming and all of that, I really enjoyed that. I think that's part of why I enjoyed this maybe more than the original trilogy, other than obviously Leigh has grown so much as a writer, is that I really loved the politics in this. I don't know if you got that quite as much in that one. And I just, the character relationships and everything as well, they're so much better. And I really enjoyed reading them. I loved seeing how everything kind of came together for this. So I think I gave this one 4 stars, which is kind of like my maximum rating on the Grishaverse. They just don't completely vibe with me, and that's okay. But I did really enjoy this duology. I'd say it's maybe the best of the series within this world, and yes, I did enjoy it. Next up, I read all 4 volumes of Hearthstopper. So these first 3 were rereads for me, and then I finally read the 4th one, the new volume, and as always, I adore this graphic novel series. It is so good, such a comfort read, I love it. So if you don't already know, I know this is a very popular series. This follows Nick and Charlie. Charlie is the only out gay kid at his school, and at the beginning of the school year, he ends up sitting next to Nick Nelson, a boy in the year above, and this begins this friendship between the two of them that eventually develops into something more, and it's just really tender and sweet, and you've got an amazing queer friend group by the time you get into like 2 and 3, and it's just so good. I am so in love. And this series also does such a good job of delving into some deeper, more difficult topics, but treating them so sensitively and with such care that it still feels like a light-hearted, fluffy read. Volume 4 particularly, please be aware that it does deal with eating disorders and very poor mental health, self-harm, so it is not completely light and fluffy, but it is just done with so much care that it's not sensationalized or anything like that. It is just careful and loving and supportive, and I really enjoyed reading all of these, and I do recommend them so much if you want a sweet graphic novel series. I'm very excited for the last book and for the TV show. Still can't believe we're getting that, and now they're finished filming, so like we're getting it sometime soon. Also, Tara and Darcy are my absolute favorites. I love them so much. This is a sapphic couple. Their relationship is so sweet. They become friends with Nick and Charlie in like the 2nd volume maybe, and you see a lot of them in volume 3, and I just love them so much. Next up, I read Late to the Party by Kelly Quinlan. So this I read for my reading Kelly Quinlan's books vlog, as well as the next book I'm going to talk about, and I'm hoping that will be up by the time this video goes up. I've still not edited it, but I have high hopes. So this is a YA contemporary, and we follow Cody, who's a bit of an outsider, a wallflower, and also a lesbian, and she and her friends to kind of set out in the summer to, you know, it's summer before senior year, they want to experience the world and fit in and stop being such wallflowers, but Cody's kind of hanging back a bit until she ends up running across a popular boy at her school, kissing another boy, and this begins this kind of friendship between the two of them, and just this bonding, and him kind of taking her under his wing to show her how the popular kids live, and this kind of summer of fun and romance as well, and friendship and everything, and it's just so sweet and good. I just really related to a lot of Cody's character, and I really just appreciated the kind of journey she went on and her development as she grew in this novel, and there's just so many cute moments with the romance as well, and once again just proving that Kelly Quinlan knows how to write characters, knows how to write messy characters, and I just really enjoyed reading this one. I'm still like undecided if this should be a 4 or a 5 stars, because I very much went into it expecting a 5. I'm not quite convinced it was. I really enjoyed it. I've got my little tabs of some quotes that stood out for me, and if you want more of my thoughts, hopefully you should be able to see that on a vlog that's already up on my channel. Next up was Her Name in the Sky, also by Kelly Quinlan, also featured in that vlog if you want to know more of my thoughts. And this one I also just really loved. I am just so in love. This follows Hannah and Baker, and these are 2 girls who both attend a Catholic school in a very like Catholic area, neighborhood, families and all of that. And they have been best friends for years. They're part of this friend group with a few guys and Hannah's little sister, and it's kind of expected that they'll each pair off with a guy, but obviously it's not quite what happens, and Hannah and Baker have these really intense feelings for each other, but no idea really how to deal with them in the kind of situation they find themselves in with being Catholic and having so much homophobia around them. And this is set quite a while back, so it's before gay marriage was legal or anything, so they didn't even know if it was possible to be together. And it's just such a difficult situation to be in, and this is definitely a very heavy book in terms of content and themes, so please be aware of that if you're picking it up. It is not a happy book, but I just loved the relationship between these two girls. Even as it got very, very difficult for them both, they just care about each other so much, and I do love them both, and I loved their whole friend group as well. Even as things got really, really messy, there's just so much love there, and I love that. I was expecting this to like slightly break my heart, and well, all of my friends have cried while reading it, but I didn't cry, and I'm kind of mad at myself. Like, what's wrong with me? But I think part of it was I was expecting to cry, and when you go in with these expectations, you kind of don't. But I also think this would hit an awful lot harder if you do have some similar experiences to these girls, like dealing with religion-induced homophobia and all of that, which is not something I do because no one in my family really is religious, so I've not been brought up in this religious environment. It's a damn good book. Kelly Quinlan, again, she knows how to write messy characters so authentically and honestly, and they're not over dramatic. That is how teenage girls would react in such a horrible situation. I really, really enjoyed all of Kelly's books. Hopefully you should be able to see that in the vlog if I get it up. And she's definitely an author I recommend that you check out if you want some sapphic books of varying degrees of painful, but with amazing character work in all of them. Next up, I read Gearbreakers by Zoe Hanamakuta, and I am obsessed! This was another 5-star read. I adored it so much. This just came out yesterday at the time of filming, so it's out. You can go get it, and I definitely recommend you do. So this is a YA, it's like sci-fi dystopia kind of, and we follow two perspectives, Sona and Eris. These are two girls who find themselves on opposite sides of this war, battle, uprising of a sort, and then discover that, maybe they're not so different. So Sona is a pilot. This means that she's just slightly not human, slightly modified, so that she can pilot these massive robots called mechas that are like the main weapons of the city called Godolia, which is like taking over the world. And she doesn't agree with this ethos of the city, and she has kind of just ended up in this situation and wants to take it down from the inside, but she can't really. She's one girl. But when she meets Eris, a gearbreaker who's been captured, gearbreakers being people who live out in the Badlands in the desert who take down mechas, just tiny little humans against big mechas. She's captured, she's taken to the academy where Sona is, and the two girls meet, and together they kind of realize that they're not so different and plot a way out and a way to take down the city. And I'm just in love with both of them, their relationship and the found family of the Gearbreakers, and just the whole book. It's so good. The writing in this one is so lovely and perfect for the story and the like atmosphere that you've got going on, and it's this really futuristic, broken down though, and like ends of the world kind of stuff, and I don't know, I just really enjoy it, and I think that the writing style works so well. You've got absolutely feral sapphics. Everyone's feral, but particularly our main characters, I feel, or at least you see the full extent through their perspectives. And found family vibes, I've said, but I'll say it again because it's so good. And these mechas are like godlike. So you've got these questions of what it means to be a god, like Sona, who becomes one. That's what a pilot does, but also Eris and the gearbreakers who kill them, and what it means to be a god, what it means to kill a god, and just rising up against these impossible situations. And it's so good and painful, and I need the sequel, but it's so amazing. Definitely recommend it. I am obsessed, if you cannot already tell. Next up, I read There's Magic Between Us by Gillian Maria. So this is a sapphic YA contemporary fantasy, contemporary with just a little sprinkling of magic. And this was fun. It was a 3-star. I wasn't overly enamored with it, overly taken in by it, but it was good. We follow a main character called Lydia, who is an absolute city girl, but goes to spend some time with her grandma in the very rural small town living. And she is warned not to enter the forest because her mother has just said, no, it's evil, it's full of bad things, do not do it. So she does it, and there she meets Eden, this girl who seems a bit odd and claims to be hunting for fairy treasure. And so Lydia goes, you know what the hell, something entertaining to do, and joins her, and they kind of both discover this magic and hunt for this treasure together, and it's a cute vibe. I was very excited by the kind of semi-magical setting and atmosphere. That's something I enjoy reading so much in a book. And I really enjoyed it here as well, and just these girls having their relationship. Our main character is pansexual, and this is mentioned several times. She wears like a pan pride bracelet, and I thought that was so cute, such a nice touch. And just I really did enjoy so much of this, and just the kind of family relationships as well. That was entertaining to read. There's definitely like a bit of a mystery going on, and I have to admit I didn't see a lot of it coming. Some of it I did, some of it I didn't, and it was just very well done. I think it worked really well, and it just, maybe the writing didn't completely get me, but so much more of the story did, and I did really enjoy reading it overall. And finally, I have got Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. I finally read it, everyone. I've only been saying I'm going to read this for months, but I did, and it was so worth the wait. This is another one where I'm not entirely certain whether it's a 4 or a 5, so I've just avoided rating it, but know that it had me feeling some things. I've got some tabs, and you can see where I forgot to tab for like 100 pages, but it's alright. So this is a adult contemporary book, and we follow Dr. Grace Porter, who's just gotten her PhD and has gone to Vegas to celebrate. There, she gets very drunk and accidentally marries another woman, a stranger that she doesn't know. And so we follow her at the beginning of the book, kind of entering into this new life as an adult with her degree and trying to find a job and everything, but also haunted by this memory of this girl that she met and she had this such a strong connection to and married and doesn't even know the name of. But eventually the two reconnect, and Grace actually ends up spending the summer in New York, falling in love with her, and I just adored reading this. It is often marketed as a romance, and I would say it's not. It is a contemporary with romance, if that makes sense. This is so much more focused on Grace as a character and dealing with her mental health and her just kind of emerging into the world as a full-fledged adult with a degree and feeling very behind all of her friends because obviously a PhD takes a very long time to get. Just also her friendships and being a good friend and familial relationships and all the pressures on her, as well as all of the struggles that she faces as a queer black woman in STEM. And it is so good, so touching. There's so many lines that are just beautiful. Like the whole book, the whole prose is beautiful. I am in awe of anyone that can write like this. Got all these lovely images and metaphors and all of that, and it's just so sweet, like honey, and it's so impressive, and it's not, would overbearing be the word? It doesn't interfere with the story. It works perfectly with the story, and moves things without just getting caught up in these overly flowery descriptions, and it's just so gorgeous, fits the book so well. I love it so much. I also love the big chosen family, found family vibes that we've got going on here. You've got both Grace's friends, her chosen family, and Yuki's, and how they begin to overlap as the two grow closer, and I just am so in love with all of them. They're so good. They're all like it's this big queer family full of people of color, and that is just the perfect vibes. All of these, adults that are kind of figuring out what to do with their lives and realizing that not everyone has their life together, and as much as they may appear to, and I just love it so much. There's such a big focus on putting learning to put yourself first and take care of yourself, and that's so important and such just a touching story, and I'm so in love with it. And yes, that is all of the books that I read this month. As you can see, I am very happy with this month's reading. I really enjoyed everything I read, and it was all extremely queer, which we love to see. I hope you all had an amazing Pride Month and read lots of good queer books. And as always, I'll have links to all of these and my reviews where I have them down below, as well as if I get that vlog up, I will have a link to it to check it out if you want. And yes, my social media, my bookshop affiliate link if you want to purchase some books. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you with another video soon.